Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
California, locking down again. Florida, deadliest day of the entire pandemic. Hospitals at capacity in a number of places around the country. Shortages of testing. A lot of people say this is because we don't have a national plan. Do you take responsibility for that?
I take responsibility always for everything because it's ultimately my job, too. I have to get everybody in line. Some governors have done well. Some governors have done poorly. They're supposed to have supplies. They didn't have. I supplied everybody.
Oh, did you? Yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw it. It was a contentious interview at best. They went back and forth, Chris Wallace and them, and they fought over everything. The death rates, the coronavirus. Oh, quick, give me a number.
I think we have one of the lowest mortality rates in the world. We're going to take a look.
We had 900 deaths on a single day.
We will take a look.
This week.
Ready?
You can check it out.
Could you please get me the mortality rate?
Yeah.
Kaylee's right here. I heard we have one of the lowest, maybe the lowest mortality rate anywhere in the world. You have the numbers, please? Because I heard we had the best mortality rate. I hope you show this in there because it shows what fake news is all about. Okay,
I don't think I'm fake news.
It shows what fake news is all about. The battle was hilarious. They battled over everything with the coronavirus. Here's the thing. It's here. So what are you going to do? Right? At the end of the day, what are you going to do? Our founding fathers went through some stuff. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. They went through some stuff. There was a smallpox epidemic. They closed towns. They wouldn't let people through. They did as much as they possibly could to keep out the Native Americans, to keep out travelers that were just going from one city to the next, and then included some of our forefathers. There was a lot of things that they did. People say, well, they wouldn't be into this. No, I think the difference was they were trying to stop the spread. And that's kind of what we're doing. But he was right about one thing, Trump. And this is supposed to be the governor's thing. We want the governors of our states to handle business. Some of them are doing a good job. Some of them have failed. By and large, most of them have had serious issues across the board with one thing or another. And it seems to me that if you look around and you realize that no matter what you kind of do, the reality is this thing is still out there. It's how do we mitigate it? Who are the vulnerable? How do we test them? They sparred over all kinds of things. Speaking of testing,
Trump, he tries to play it down. He tries to make it not seem as serious as it is.
No, this is very serious.
75,000 cases a day.
Show me the death chart.
I don't have the death chart.
Well, the death chart is much more important.
I can tell you, the death chart is 1,000 cases a day.
Excuse me. It's all too much. It shouldn't be one case. It came from China. They should have never let it escape. They should have never let it out. But it is what it is. Take a look at Europe. Take a look at the numbers in Europe.
6,000 in the whole European Union.
They don't test. They don't test like we test.
Is it possible that they don't have the virus as badly as we do?
No, it's possible that they don't test. That's what's possible.
Is both possible? Is it possible they're not testing like we are? And at the same time, is it possible that they don't test? Yeah, both are possible. But the reality is we've got spiking numbers in places. We have hospitals who are at full capacity in other places. It is not a good situation. I can't blame Trump for everything, but he's got his part to play in this. That's the reality of it. That is absolutely the reality of it. The thing is now, and Trump is right about this, when you look and see who's getting it at this moment in time.
Many of those cases are young people that would heal in a day. They have the sniffles, and we put it down as a test. Many of them, don't forget, I guess it's like 99.7%. People are going to get better, and in many cases, they're going to get better very quickly.
That's true. I mean, that's absolutely, and that's real. In many cases, they're getting much better. There's no lie about that. But there are still serious issues about this. Trump has a battle right now. November is not about Joe Biden at this moment. It's Trump. Do you like Trump? Do you not like Trump? Do you like the way that Trump has handled this? Do you not like the way that Trump has handled this? It's easy to be Joe Biden when it comes to the virus because he's not in it, right? At the end of the day, it's easy to stand on the sidelines and say, I would have done this or I would have done that. Well, the reality is how would we know what you would or wouldn't have done and how well that would or wouldn't have worked? I mean, we could get it to the point where we shut everything down and lock everything down and have the federal government take and care of everybody. And you could say, look how well we did. But then we climb out of it. We look around and go, businesses are gone. The economy's destroyed. We're going to have hyperinflation. And it's still here. So it's easy to look and see why polls are the way they are.
Joe Biden now leads Donald Trump in election preference by 15 points among registered voters and 10 points among likely voters. Look no farther than the COVID-19 pandemic. With cases surging, a record 60% of Americans now disapprove of how Trump is handling the pandemic, and Biden leads in trust to handle it by 20 points.
And part of that is because we think Biden is going to soften everything. It's going to be nice. It's going to be soft. He's going to be sweet. He's going to be kind. There's a lot of things that go into that. He's got more empathy than Trump. If you're looking for empathy, Trump doesn't have it. He's just not that guy. He's not built. That's not his makeup. That's the reality of that. Do I think Trump has handled this awful? I think at times he has fallen on his face. I think other times he's been okay. The reality of it is, our governors need to take better responsibility, and they haven't. The biggest problem coming out of the White House is the battle always between the White House, the media, the people with Trump, and the people that are against Trump. It's crazy. But I would give Trump a D on the way that he's handled this. That's the reality. He hasn't handled this great. But I don't know if he handled it any better, how much better it would be. Because we seem to think if Trump and the federal government take over, that things are going to be 1,000 times better. I don't know. California masked up pretty hard for a while, and they're going through a lot of hell at this moment in time. They really are. So, what does that mean? I don't know what it means. I just know it's here. We need to deal with it. We better figure it out sooner rather than later. And that includes protecting the vulnerable and allowing our economy to move forward. And I don't see any real plans out there other than everybody fighting with one another, which for me is not really a plan. It's not a plan. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. You know, for all the chaos and craziness in the world, and we have quite a bit of chaos and craziness, remember this, 51 years ago today, we landed on the moon. Got off, people going around, hey, what's up? One step, and we did the steppy thing. And it makes me think, first of all, it's 51 years ago. Kind of we got there, and we're like, well, we're here. But look what we did as Americans, as a human race. And the chaos and the lunacy that is going on right now is, can you imagine that? So think about that. Think about where we've come, how far we've come. And here we are 51 years later. We're trying to get back to the moon. We're trying to go to Mars. We should have probably already done all those things, but that was really just a show of look what we can do. And it would battle in a race that was in space against the Soviets at the time. But we were all in that thing together. You know, I wasn't born yet. My mom talked about it. My dad talked about it. Just what it was like to grip the nation and the world, to know that we had done that we had filmed that in a studio in Burbank. No, I don't believe that. People always say it totally happened that way. They were not in a studio in Burbank. Nobody can keep a secret that long. Nobody can. But if you think about it, how far we've come, 51 years. We landed on that moon. We're like, what up? I mean, it's nuts. Here we are, those many years later, and we're battling ourselves. I think we've forgotten a lot of what America's all about, and that is not a good thing. We're being eaten from within by chaos, craziness, lunacy, political correctness. We're fighting with each other, even over a damn virus. And that, to me, is sad. I think we're better than that. And I think there's an exhausted majority of us out there, an exhausted majority of 70+% of people who don't want chaos, don't want extremes, don't want lunacy, want common sense. understand there's got to be give and take. If today's political climate was living back then, we'd still be on the launch pad. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program as well. You can tweet at me. Love hearing from every single one of you. Car Shield, chaos, lunacy, in a day and age where we're trying to do all we can to save every dollar. Car Shield is here to help. How? Well, they've got covered protection for you. It starts as low as $99 a month. $99 a month. That's what it starts at, as low as. And it doesn't matter what it is you're looking for. Whether your car is a little bit older, you're worried about your transmission, you're worried about the AC, you're worried about all kinds of stuff when it comes to the actual driving side of it. Or some people have got newer cars, worried more about the electronics in the car. They're like, well, my engine's probably going to be fine, but I'm worried about the electronics car. They've got a plan to suit you and the budget. It starts as low as $99 a month. You get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for freeway cars in the shop. And the shop, well, that shop's the shop that you choose. No long-term contracts or commitments. They get them paid directly. Million drivers. That's what Car Shield's help. Call 800-CAR-6000. Mention code Benson. 800-CAR-6000. Mention code Benson. You can get covered today for as little as $99. When you mention code Benson, save 10%. Or carshield.com, carshield.com. Code Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
I, you, he, she, it. Lucy is a girl.
Point of personal privilege. Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Shut up, fool. Ain't nobody got time for that.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
Some people were surprised when you agreed to this interview, to sit down with me.
What are you going to ask?
Especially because of some of the mean tweets that you've said about me. Mike Wallace wannabe, nasty and obnoxious. But here's the question. One of your beefs seems to be that I put Democrats. Don't you understand it's my job to put Democrats on as well as Republicans and to ask them probing questions just like I ask Republicans?
I'm not a big fan of Fox. I'll be honest with you. They've changed a lot since Roger Ailes.
Yeah, they don't. I only watch One American News and Newsmax because those are Trump approved. Fox questions me, and I don't know if I'm allowed to be questioned. I'm thinking I'm not. Trump and Wallace, they got into it on a few occasions. And this is the funny thing is, at no time during the President Barack Obama's time did I see anybody on the left go after him really like Wallace goes after him. Say what you want about Fox. Wallace comes hard, and I like that. I do. I don't watch much of anything on any of the shows. Like any of the... I watched very little on any of... If it's not Gunsmoke or soccer or golf, I probably don't even know it exists. But I watched that, and I thought, I like it. He's asking real questions, and he's pushing back, as it should be. Let me tell you something. If Biden wins... It's just going to be a honeymoon for 4 years. There won't be a tough question asked at all. Toughest question is, how you doing today, sir? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Over the weekend, John Lewis died. Congressman for a really, really, really long time. But before that, he was instrumental in the civil rights movement. The youngest of all. They called him one of the big six. And he was, with the Freedom Riders. He was a guy that, he got in. Not only was there marches, and by the way, he organized the March on Washington, but just the way he went about doing things. And he would be getting into good trouble, as they used to call it. He was arrested, I think, some 48 times. It was all good trouble, though. All good trouble. And this is a guy who, when you see a lot of these young people who talk about race in this country and who are upset over the name of something or the way that they were microaggressed or some of these crazy lunatic things that we see out there, this was a guy who went through it. This is a guy who marched. This is a guy who went to Woolworths and sat at the segregated diner there This is a guy who did it. From the movements in Nashville to the Freedom Riders to so many different things that he did and served our country. You don't have to like his politics, but you can respect who the man was and what he went through. And I think too often, once again, we get into a position where we're battling each other over craziness and lunacy, and we forget that that's a human being on the other side, and they've got different experiences than us. And he was a guy who went through it. He went through it, and he came out the other side, and he was a hero, and he was somebody who did real things to try to, I mean, we're talking about a guy who, you know, in the Jim Crow South battled it head on. Like you said, he got into good trouble. Lots of it. But a good dude. A good dude. Met him once, long time ago. And, you know, just again, somebody you look at and that's living history. You were there in Selma. You were there. You organized the march. You were there in many places. You were the youngest of them all, and you were there. Much different time. And I think he left this world a better place because he was here. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Here's your Twitter. You can tweet at us and text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Feel free to tweet at me. Feel free to check out the Instagram. We're going to have a new video up later on today. Kanye, crazy over the weekend. We'll touch on that. Portland as well. If you don't know what's going on in Portland and what's going on in Seattle, the CHOP was really a big thing. That's the, you know, the autonomous zone or whatever they wanted to call it, the Chaz. This is much different what's going on in Portland, and nobody's talking about it unless it's to bash Trump. Let me tell you something. We should be talking about it. We should be looking at it because we have a city right now that is under siege, and that's not a good thing. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Published in the Lancet Medical Journal, there's a sense of cautious optimism. It's one of some 24 vaccines being worked on by top facilities around the world. But as Kate Bingham, the chair of the UK Vaccine Task Force, says,
there is no expectation that this definitely can be done, but the early data that we're seeing is definitely encouraging.
Based on preliminary research, the British government has ordered 100 million doses of the vaccine.
Yeah, so Oxford's vaccine looks like it's getting any opportunity to ramp itself up. We got Moderna here ramping itself up. They're moving from phase 2 to phase 3. So they've gone from a few patients to, I think it was 45 patients, to now a 30,000 patients here in America that Moderna is going to try to do. Oxford has their trials are going extremely fast. And it looks like they're pushing forward in a way where they're already starting to think about, all right, let's order these things. Let's get this thing done. There's no guarantee, and there's no guarantee that it works for everybody and how long it works. That's the other thing. A lot of people are asking the question when it comes to coronavirus, how long will this work? Is it one shot? Is it 2 shots? Is it forever? Is it a 6-month thing? Do I have to get a shot every year? In some cases, they're saying, do you have to get 2 shots or 4 shots a year? I don't know. I don't think any of us knows. We're still early in the game. And on top of that, what does the side effects look like? Because in the Moderna, everybody seems to have some sort of side effect, but they were minimal. Little fevery, you know, some headaches, but it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't like one of those things where, you know, you had, explosion diarrhea and you grew a third arm and you had webbed toes. It wasn't anything like that. But the new and the latest version of some of these. They're gonna watch you for up to 2 years to make sure none of that stuff happens, because the last thing you want is the cure to be worse than the disease. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Text the program as well. Now, what's going on in Portland? Most of you have no idea what's going on in Portland. You got two things going on. You've got federal officers that are seemingly grabbing people off the streets who are, and there's let's point something out first. Difference between a protester and a rioter. You protest, you go there, you hold up your sign, you chant, you're there to have your voice heard. A rioter, totally different. Rioter shows up, wants to cause chaos and anarchy, wants to burn things down, wants to break things, isn't interested in the day-to-day function of said protest, is there to cause chaos and hell. So let's point out there's two different things going on here. 52 days. 52 days. That's how long it's been since this has begun, with the protesting and in cases the rioting going on in Portland. 52 days. Over the last week and a half or so, there have been federal agents grabbing people off the streets in unmarked vehicles, and that's a little unsettling. It is very much unsettling.
Filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration Friday night, as did your state attorney general. She accused federal agents of a, quote, escalation of fear and violence in Portland, as you just said. Do you think the Trump administration's breaking the law in your city?
I absolutely do. The tactics that the Trump administration are using on the streets of Portland are abhorrent. People are being literally scooped off the street into unmarked vans, rental cars, apparently. They are being denied probable cause, and they're denied due process.
Which we can have in this country. But it doesn't seem to be they're getting charged with anything. And they're not scooping up people that are walking down the street after the protest. They're scooping up people that are Antifa members dressed in all black, who I guess they're supposedly observing, doing things, and then muddling into the crowd and then trying to get away after they've caused hell and havoc. And by the way, that's exactly what it is. Watch some of this insanity. The police have lost control. And it's not even that. At this point in time, you know what's happened? These city officials have ceded control to these absolute spoiled, rotten little children who are pissed and angry at the world, who are throwing an absolute fit, hate everything that America is about. I'm not talking about the average protesters down there. I'm talking about the people that are there to cause trouble.
They don't even know who's pulling them into the vans. The people aren't identifying themselves. As far as I can see, this is completely unconstitutional.
Is there anything you or the governor can do to force these agents to leave your city?
We can build awareness, and that's what we're doing. We're all telling the Trump administration, take these people out of our city. They are not helping us. They are hurting us. They are escalating an already dangerous situation.
Why is it a dangerous situation, Mayor Wheeler? Why? Because you've allowed this to happen. You've allowed your city to be overrun and taken over by a bunch of people who are throwing fits, bitching, whining, and moaning, breaking stuff, trying to burn down the courthouse, much like the CHOP last night, Amazon store in Seattle, totally ransacked. Totally, absolutely ransacked. What the feds are doing, I don't like at all. No, no, no. But let's not forget, you've lost control of your city.
And what I want to do is raise awareness nationally. This could happen in your city. And what we're seeing is a blatant abuse of police tactics by the federal government, by a Trump administration that's falling in the polls. And this is a direct threat to our democracy.
I don't think it could happen in our city, because I think our city would stomp it down. Difference between a protester and a rioter. That's a big thing. Protesters and rioters, two different things. You've allowed this to happen. You've allowed this to go on. You've allowed this to become something that is ridiculous. And on top of that, by the way, they've usurped a message. That's the funny thing. They took a message that was supposed to be about George Floyd. That's when this all started. And what has happened? Pissed off, angry white kids, overeducated. I don't know if you saw the guy in the tutu screaming at the police officer, telling him you guys don't even know who you're about or what you're about. You guys are uneducated. None of you went to college. Called one guy, this black officer, a Judas. But you took a message and you've usurped it, and now you've allowed yourself to let these people take over, and you get what you get.
Most of this is not about George Floyd now. You say, like, if it was just the case that there were protests about police brutality, I would support that. If it was just protests against racism, great. But that's not what this is now. This is, this is absolutely not that. It's so distanced from that now.
It's really then becomes like anti-capitalism, anti-Western civilization.
Yeah. And that's a lot of what it is now. They're anarchists. They're communists. They're there to break stuff. They want to tear the system down. They want to blow it up. George Floyd was just an opportunity to scream and yell and go out and do bad things. What makes me laugh about this, too, is the thing that they fear the most is growing up. The more that, the CHOP, we joked about this, the CHOP, but the reality is the CHOP was about what? These people are fighting something. What's the great war they're fighting? Adulthood. That's what they're fighting. They're fighting adulthood. They don't want to grow up. They want to live in this bizarre utopia of never growing up. This is what happens when you tell everybody they're great, and give them all a trophy, tell them their picture is the best picture in the world, that it's as good as Picasso, and you put it straight up there on the refrigerator, and you allow them to get away with anything, and they have this sense of entitlement, and it's sad. This should be talked about. What the feds are doing, I do not agree with. That shouldn't happen in our country, period. They have constitutional rights, snatching people off. Now, they're not charging them with anything. On the other side of things, this isn't being talked about at all. The only time it's being talked about, they ignore. This is what's hilarious, too. The media will come in and they will focus on what's going on with DHS and these people being taken, and absolutely that should be talked about. But they ignore the fact that, like, the city's on fire. They ignore all of the things that got there. You want to defund the police? Knock yourself out. I got no problem with that. Go ahead. You do what you need to do. But I will tell you this right now. I find it uncomfortable to watch cities. By the way, Portland used to be a beautiful city. I won't go in the mirror. Seattle used to be gorgeous, used to be lovely, still is in certain parts. But it's San Francisco, I won't go to it. You've allowed these cities to become cesspools and nasty. You've allowed that to happen by being woke. And this is what you get. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program as well. Love hearing from all of you. Major League Baseball close to coming back. Basketball's close to coming back. The NFL, many of them are supposed to start reporting sooner rather than later. But players have been tweeting out that they're not quite sure if we're going to have an NFL season.
I'm told this is a byproduct of the weekly calls the NFLPA had with its entire player membership. Thousands of guys could get on this conference call every week, and I'm told from a union source that the players simply listened to our message that was very clearly, we have a list of requests that we need to feel safe, and the NFL has either let those go unchecked or they've ignored them altogether.
Jeremy Fowler right there reporting. Now, what's going to happen? I don't know. I mean, there was some tweets yesterday very cryptic about, well, we may not have a season. I will say this. Of all the sports, if there is no NFL, to me, that's a kick to the gut. That is a kick to the gut. I think we could do without baseball. I think we could do without basketball. I think we could do without the NHL and all the other stuff. But I think if we don't have football, and I don't think we're going to get college football at this point, and if we don't have football, I think that's massive. That's a huge kick to the stomach. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. HelloFresh. Had a HelloFresh over the weekend. That's right. It's delicious. HelloFresh is awesome. Comes straight to your door. Contact free. You save $80 right now. Go to HelloFresh.com. Use code Benson. You get 22 chef-curated recipes. And the way they do this is you go. They got all kinds of stuff. You want low-calorie. You want vegan. You want family-friendly options. Whatever you want, they've got. Right? They've got, surf and turf. They've got craft burgers. They've got whatever it is that fits your lifestyle and the need. It's there. You don't have to worry about going to the store. You're going to save a ton of money. 40% versus shopping at your local grocery store. So let's say your family, you buy this. You've got everything there. You open up the bag, so it comes in this big box. You open up each bag. It's got everything in there. Got everything. It's got your fruits, your vegetables, all the stuff that just to go with the thing, and it's got the recipe. It takes about 15 or 20 minutes. You can even add a little bit of your own style there if you want, and away you go. The beauty of it is contact-free, comes to your house. You don't have to worry about going to the store. Fits your lifestyle. Whether you want extra meals, you can do that. Change your delivery age, you can do that. Add extra meals, skip meals, whatever it is, you got it. That's what HelloFresh is all about. Get started today. #1 meal kit in America, HelloFresh.com. Use code Benson. Save $80, including free shipping on your first box. That's promo code Benson at HelloFresh.com for $80 off. Include free shipping on your first box. HelloFresh.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
Donald is a psychologically deeply damaged man based on his upbringing and the situation with his parents. He is not going to get better. And he is, without question, going to get worse.
Why is he going to get worse? He's already, in his 70s. Isn't he kind of fully cooked? Cuomo, Mary Trump, Bloody Mary, that's what we call her. Isn't he fully cooked? Meaning, isn't he done? This is it, right? Like, he's not changing. He's 70-something. He ain't changing.
Depends on what you mean. In terms of his character, yes. His habits, yes, because I don't think he's interested in changing them. But no, I mean, illnesses untreated deteriorate over time.
So not just damage, you think he's got sickness?
Yeah, I do. There is plenty of evidence to support some of those diagnoses. And untreated, he's not interested in being treated. He has no insight. He has no psychological awareness of his situation.
Said the lady who shouldn't be practicing medicine, first of all, on her uncle, but just at all, diagnosing somebody based on what, television? Well, I've known him for years. Well, okay, based on his upbringing. You kind of brought up that way as well. She's zero credibility, but she's out there, and she's doing a great job selling her book. I mean, you can't argue. She sold 1 million copies already. You can't argue that. That's success.
And again, one of the most devastating things is that people who claim to care for him aren't helping him. If they truly cared for him, the last place in the world they would want him to be is the Oval Office. And yet they do nothing. Well,
the last thing you'd want for anybody is to be at the Oval Office in this day and age. That's the reality of it. 323-538-2423. She sold 930,000 copies in her first week. That's massive. That is huge. That is huge. It's a lot of copies to sell. I don't know if it does anything. I mean, who's buying this? I mean, at the end of the day, who's buying this? Are people who hate Trump, some curious people who just want to see maybe what it was like. Doubtful any Trump supporters are buying it. Trump is a industry all to himself. The hate Trump industry is strong, and people are willing to spend money. Speaking of money,
Bidding blasted off at Julian's Auctions, Beverly Hills. The 2001 A Space Odyssey spacesuit sold for $370,000. For that same price, somebody bought the control stick astronaut Neil Armstrong used to manually fly the Apollo 11 lunar module to the moon's surface.
The Eagle has landed.
Apollo 11 astronaut Buzz Aldrin's control stick sold for $256,000. The 1982 Pontiac Trans Am from the TV series Knight Rider sold for $192,000. And Christopher Reeve's Superman cape sold for $110,000.
Yeah, it doesn't work with horses. Oh, was that wrong, Producer Phil? I hope you're laughing at that one.
Of course I am.
Chad, that is the worst, best thing you've ever said. What was the horse's name? Kryptonite. Oh. Are you a jerk? I'm a little jerky. It's kind of funny, though. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Speaking of auctions, LeBron James rookie card, I think it went for, what, $1.8 million? That is, I didn't even know they had basketball cards like that, but it went for $1.8 million. Most expensive basketball card ever. Upper Deck 2003, 2004. $1.845 million. Some people still have money to spend on stuff. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. I have a new video on the old YouTube later on today. Check that out. Chad Benson Show TV. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Trump, he tries to play it down. He tries to make it not seem as serious as it is.
No, this is very serious.
75,000 cases a day.
Show me the death chart.
I don't have the death chart.
The death chart is much more important.
The death chart is 1,000 cases a day.
Excuse me. It's all too much. It shouldn't be one case. It came from China. They should have never let it escape. They should have never let it out. But it is what it is. Take a look at Europe. Take a look at the numbers in Europe.
6,000 in the whole European Union.
They don't test. They don't test like we test.
Is it possible that they don't have the virus as badly as we do?
It's possible that they don't test. That's what's possible.
Is it possible? Yeah, of course. Everything's possible. I don't know how they're testing right now. I'm not quite sure what they're doing testing-wise. It's possible the virus has been there, done its damage, and left, and may come back. That's also possible as well. Is it possible that New York could feel something come September, October that right now the Southwest and parts of the South are feeling? That's also possible as well. Everything is possible, Trump and media. Everything. We don't know a lot about this. That's the reality. There's no game plan. We're still trying to figure it out. We've done a poor job in some areas. Some areas we've done an okay job. We're trying to jumpstart our economy and keep people employed and fiscally alive. And at the same time, trying to stop the spread of this. And it ain't working. It isn't.
Why are we doing so poorly? Well, it's certainly the case that when you compare our experience with Europe, which your numbers just did, we basically did a good job in New York and New Jersey and Connecticut with that terrible crisis that happened and took many lives. But meanwhile, the rest of the country, perhaps imagining this was just a New York problem, kind of went about their business, didn't really pay that much attention to CDC's recommendations about the phases necessary to open up safely, and jumped over some of those hoops.
That's the possibility. That's Francis Collins, NIH director. So, National Institute of Health, for those who are not keeping score. We also thought the heat's going to change it. Places like Arizona, the heat has changed. And the reason is we're not outside right now. It's 100 and... Yesterday, I went out and did a little walk hit I always joke about with my golf, because I usually play golf this time of year. And people are like, why? I'm like, because I can go to great courses and nobody's on them. I can play 2, 3, 4 balls at a time. It's awesome. Walk around. Just, what are you doing? Just played a couple balls. Nobody's out here. Drive around in my cart. But there are days, and last week was a perfect example, where we never dropped below 92, 93. It was ugly. Today it's going to be about 105. But most people, this time of year, we head indoors. We don't head outdoors. If we head outdoors, it's to the river or it's to a pool. So where does this thing spread more likely than anything else? Spreads indoors, not outdoors. A lot of the other parts of the country, they've had their tough winter. They went through a lot of different things. Guess what? They're outdoors now because it's easier for them to be outdoors.
And people started congregating and not wearing masks and feeling like it's over and maybe summer it'll all go away. And now here we are.
Here we are. What's it mean? Don't know what it means. All I know is we need to take steps to protect the elderly and the vulnerable. We need to wear a mask when applicable. You're going to go into a store, wear a mask. You're going to be around a group of people, do the best you can to wear a mask, and not so much socially distance to the point where it's ridiculous, but just be, it's all about being smart. That's what it is. Take a few steps back. It's an ugly, nasty thing. You don't want anybody to get it. Some people, a majority of people, never even know they had it. A majority of people that do have it know they have it. It's not going to be that bad. There's some that it's going to be awful, and there are going to be others that this is potentially deadly, and for some it will be deadly. It's just about being smart. That's it. Wash your hands, little social distance, wear a mask when applicable, live your life. Shouldn't be that hard. But it is, because we make everything political, and that's ridiculous. We have a woke virus, and right now, it's kicking our butts. Let's be 100% honest. In certain parts of the country, it is thumping us. And it's not hard to change. Well, Chad, you're just talking about giving away your freedoms. No, I'm not. Go back, and if you're a study of history, our forefathers, our founding fathers, our forefathers went through a smallpox epidemic. And in towns up and down the Northeast, they coordinated it off. They did everything they could to distance from one another. I mean, they didn't understand the things that we understand now, but they took what they thought was the right thing to do to stop the epidemic from growing and killing, including cutting off towns completely, not letting people travel through towns. It was, they did what they could. It's not about taking away your freedom. It's about being aware of, hey, you know what? I'm not going to wear a mask when I go for a walk, when I go for a run, when I'm with my family in the backyard, at a park, whatever. That's totally fine. That's reality. If they start pulling you over for that, then you start throwing a fit. Then you start getting pissed off. Then you start getting upset. But if Costco or Walmart or Target ask you to wear a mask, it shouldn't be a battle. It shouldn't be. But we make it a battle, and then we turn it political.
Florida is the epicenter of this pandemic with record-breaking numbers. Just how bad is the situation in your district and in your state?
It's terrible. We have community spread, which means the virus is out of control. The lack of leadership in the White House and in our governor's office, they simply have not hit this with a hammer, which is what we needed to do, and starve the virus. They open too soon. They misunderstand what you need to do, or they understand it and they're not willing to do it.
Starve the virus? The virus is still out there. People in New York are still testing positive. The virus is still out there. It's not gone anywhere. We haven't found a cure for it. It's not going to disappear. The best we can do at this point in time is mitigate its spread by just being smart. But staying indoors for 2 months isn't going to make it disappear. Are you going to stay indoors? Are you going to scrub everything that's out there? And then the people that are scrubbed, are you going to scrub them? And the people that scrub them, are you going to scrub them? And then you're not going to allow anybody back in your state or anything into your state, and you're just going to do what New Zealand did, was shut the world out. Most aren't going to do that, Donna Shalala. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Remember, it was never about getting to zero. It was about protecting our healthcare system and giving them ample opportunity to ramp up. Certain places were hit way harder than other places. New York struggled for the first several weeks of this thing big time. But is it going to return? That's a fair question. I don't know. But I do know it's an election year. And with an election year, you got to look around and say, all right, what do the polls say? Because right now, the polls, not too kind.
Our poll showed some really troubling signs for Donald Trump beyond the headline, top line number. It showed that Trump is actually trailing Biden on the question of law and order. This has been a central issue that the president has put forward.
Yeah, and why? Well, because right now the law and order is let's get rid of the law, and then hopefully everybody else will kindly come to order, and that's not going to happen. It isn't. The fun police thing is ridiculous. I've said from the beginning, I understand what, in theory, they're trying to do. Not all of them. There's a lot of them out there who really want to do away with the police, who really want to have, Berkeley's going to have some sort of civilian, I don't even know what to call it, task force or somebody pull you over in a car and handle traffic violations. Okay, that's fine. But why do I have to listen to you now? Who are you? I'm not listening to you. Get back in your car. Leave me alone. I'm not stopping. What are you going to do? Nothing. You're going to do nothing. You will do nothing. And how's that going to go when the first one of them gets into a situation where somebody wants to go, hey, let's have some fun. Let's pull over, and then we'll whoop the ass of these civilians over here. We'll see what that's like. What about the economy?
Even on the question of who do you trust more to handle the economy, it's a virtual tie. Trump is up 2 points. That's within the margin of error. So they feel they have to take Biden down.
It's tough because Biden isn't, Hillary was easy to hate. Even the left didn't like her. They didn't trust her. Trump's easy to have an emotion. They love or they hate. The one thing that Trump had that Hillary didn't have was Trump's got a following, and he's got people that are emotionally invested in him. They love him. They'll go to the mat. They're ride or die. Hillary didn't have that. Hillary was just the antithesis of Trump, and at the same time, she was also, in many ways, part of the evil that was Washington, D.C. Biden's not that. Biden's Biden. Nobody hates him. Nobody gets excited about him. I always joke, Joe Biden doesn't get excited about him. That's Joe Biden. Who do I trust more for the economy? Absolutely, I trust Trump far more for the economy than I do Biden. Who doesn't? Let's be real. Who doesn't? The economy was roaring until this thing came along. And don't tell me, well, if Joe was in charge, we'd still have a roaring economy. I don't buy any of that crap. It's a bunch of nobody. You can't plan. There is no game plan for this. But Trump has a lot of work to do. Now, when you look at these polls conducted compared to other polls, online surveys done by real online companies, not just go to Drudge and vote on something, the outlook is different. The outlook for Trump is much different because I still think there's a bunch of people out there that will not tell people on the other end of the line for fear of being judged how they feel. Because as we know, in this day and age of wokeness, you never know what may happen in a survey that something gets out, and the next thing you know, you're being called into your office because people found out that you said you liked Trump or voted for Trump, and now they feel uncomfortable. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter. Rough Greens. What's Rough Greens? Well, it's not dog food. It's a supplement. You put it on top of the dog's food. It's a healthy supplement that puts in your dog food all of the living nutrients necessary for your dog's health, the superior health that you want. I started giving it to Doodle a few months ago. My dog had fatty tumors in his hips. He's none of that right now. He's got bounce. He's got life. He plays games. He does things he's never done since we've had him. And it's incredible. You get 25 all-natural vitamins and minerals, 20 digestive enzymes, powerful strains of probiotics, omegas 3, 6, 9s. You get antioxidants. It's incredible what goes on there. They love the taste, but most importantly, what it does is it helps in so many ways keep your dog healthy. And if your dog have aches and pains, it will reduce or eliminate your dog's symptom. It's the best thing you could ever do, and the price is right. 14-day jumpstart, $14.95. Almost just under $15. to give your dog a little pep in his step and some happiness and some health and change them? Absolutely. It's the best thing you'll ever do for your furry friend. Go to roughgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MyDog88. That's ruffgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MyDog88. Rough Greens, we make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's take a look and see what's trending around the globe. Symptoms of COVID-19, new symptoms apparently. The unusual and painful skin symptoms. Apparently that's a new thing. So we got skin, we got all kinds of lesions. We've heard about COVID toe, but now they've got some other stuff as well. Every day it's something new. Dylan Erut, Google Doodle honors go to him. Apollo 11 because it's 51 years ago today. People gathered around to watch what took place. He landed on the moon. We're like, what? Look at all this. This is crazy. They didn't even land on the moon. Major League Baseball is getting ready to kick its season off months later than it should have. But now the players, as they're trying to figure out how to add social justice to playing of the game. I don't know what that's about. So we'll see. Everybody's going to do their own thing. And people ask me all the time about, how do you feel about that? The knee thing that Colin Kaepernick did, I understood once, but then he changed the message 1,000 times. Here's the difference. There's a venue and an avenue now that people didn't have 30 years ago. People didn't have 15 years ago, which is social media. And I think if you turn it into social justice first over the sports and entertainment aspect, you're going to lose a lot of the game itself. And people will be bored with it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Mickey Rourke. I don't know if you saw this, but he threatened to beat the crap out of Robert De Niro. Because apparently Mickey Rourke said he was supposed to be offered an opportunity to work in The Irishman. De Niro said, supposedly, allegedly, if you hire him, I won't do it. De Niro said he was never offered anything. Now they're going back and forth, and he essentially said, hey, De Niro, when I see you again, fake tough guy, I'm basically going to kick your ass. So that'll be interesting to see. Head on over to Twitter. Yeah, craziness going on over in Twitter as well, as always. The Bahamas will ban most international visitors. Kanye West criticized Harriet Tubman and breaks down while talking about abortion at his first campaign rally in South Carolina. And he said some stuff that was interesting. First and foremost, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. He's got a big brain.
You have someone who isn't afraid of anyone and in honor of God, and that is a 132 IQ genius that literally went to the hospital because his brain was too big for his skull.
His brain is too big for his skull. He's very much anti-abortion, very much pro-life. And he talks about a lot of stuff when it comes to pro-life. And, it's very, talks about Margaret Sanger. He talks a lot about stuff. It's as much publicity as it is real. And I think he is politically a different character. But, man, I had to go to the hospital because my brain was so big for my head. That's pretty awesome. That should be his slogan. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. It is the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
A bunch of these senators who've gone along with Trump and all of his assaults on democratic norms, killing Americans, and governors who've been intimidated by Trump into incredibly foolish policies and reopening their states and bars and everything, and then not even overturning local ordinances, banning masks. Part of me thinks it may well be a lost cause, and it may deserve to be a lost cause, the Republican Party. Again, not because its views are necessarily off from that of a majority of Americans, but because they've been complicit in this actual administration.
Billy Crystal, with a K, not the one that's a comedian, political pundit. I understand that. That's very real. Like, I think a majority of Americans have mostly semi-libertarian, right-leaning kind of conservative views. This far-left lunacy, but a majority of Americans don't share the views of Trump, and a lot of these guys have sold their soul. I'm in a state where, I will tell you this, you look, DeSantis sold his soul to Trump. Doug Jones sold his soul to Trump in Georgia. Here, Doug Ducey sold his soul to Trump, and it's ugly. I keep screaming, we need a third party. A third party doesn't have to be big. It can be 15 or 20% of the seats, but do enough to hold both sides accountable and get stuff through in a much better way without it being an all or nothing scenario, which all too happens in this world that we live in now.
It would be unhealthy for this country to have two major parties, one of which continues in this nationalist, populist, authoritarian, demagogic way. And so you hate to say, well, I'm just walking away because, I don't like it and I disdain it. And I think it's really a bit of a disgraceful performance. But it would be healthy if we could have a healthier Republican Party. But wishing doesn't make it so. So that's where I go back and forth, and I think it's maybe there'll be a new center. Maybe we can work with centrists from both parties. I really don't know.
That's what we need. And it's funny because people accuse you, Chad, you need to take a stand. I take a stand on each subject individually. I don't choose a side based on I'm going red or blue, even if I don't believe with half of the stuff on this side or half of the stuff on the other. And that's what we've done. Trump's a different thing, man. People are Trump people. They love Trump. I don't think they're going to love anybody else. I don't think they're going to sell their soul for anybody else. I don't think they're going to come out and support anybody else. It's kind of like Bernie's people were, right? Bernie's people didn't support Hillary. He was late in getting to it, but they didn't because they weren't excited about Hillary. They thought she was as bad as Trump. And the Republican Party is going to have a huge issue after Trump. AAT, I call it. Because after Trump, who picks up the pieces? Because there isn't anybody else. Tom Cotton's the closest you may have, but outside of that, you really don't have anybody else that's going to be coming up and picking up that mantle of say anything, do anything. And by the way, I don't think there's anybody out there that gets away with it like Trump. We don't need people that are going to come in and not have strong beliefs. I have strong beliefs. The difference is I don't choose my beliefs based on one side of the aisle or the other. I want to look at the facts. I want to look at everything, and then I will make up my mind on stuff. But I'm also going to have an understanding of the other side of things, which we've stopped doing at all.
I do think for the short term, i.e. this year, Trump and the Republican Party that has enabled him and the conservative movement that has rationalized what he has done need to be held accountable.
The one thing about the rationalization of Trump, and this is very real, is the fact that while his words, albeit at time, not the nicest, albeit time, you could call and say, hey, little dog whistly, but people are always looking for something. The way he tweets, the way he acts at times is very much like a petulant child and a bully. But when you look at the actions, it's been very conservative. Been very conservative in those actions. Rolling back regulation, standing up for religious freedom. You can go on and on, talking about pro-life. I mean, there's the way that he's gone about doing things is very much what a staunch conservative would do. The difference is it showed up in a pit bull junkyard dog with an attitude and a bit of a twisted sense of humor. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Oxford believes they're getting closer and closer to finding a true vaccine for this with antibodies, and it looks good.
Published in the Lancet Medical Journal, there's a sense of cautious optimism. It's one of some 24 vaccines being worked on by top facilities around the world. But as Kate Bingham, the chair of the UK Vaccine Task Force, says,
there is no expectation that this definitely can be done, but the early data that we're seeing is definitely encouraging.
Based on preliminary research, the British government has ordered 100 million doses of the vaccine.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays itself out. But the research shows that it builds up a strong antibodies in your body to fight this thing. They're going to start rolling this thing out in a much bigger way, like we're doing here. And when we get to the point where we're really ready to reopen again, remember, this just isn't about the health side of it. I think too often we get lost and it's only about the health side. That's very real. Absolutely. And that should never be understated. But at the same time, there's also a psychological side of this virus where people need to feel comfortable to go out and resume their lives pre-coronavirus. Going to movies, going to concerts, doing things, being in groups, spending money. So even some people out there who maybe aren't worried so much about the virus and the health, but they are worried about what it's doing to the economy, so they may not spend money. And if you've got people out there, a third of the people that are worried about the virus itself on the health side and don't want to go out and spend money, and other people who aren't worried about that but are worried about what it's doing to the economy, that's why we need to really get a handle on when we roll this thing out, as well as the therapeutics, that this, to get people to jumpstart and to get them back out there. Because there's too many people I know who don't want to go out, who don't want to get out there, and they're in a position to do that. But they're afraid even with the mask. Or some of them are like, hey, man, I can't spend any money, but your business is good. Yeah, but go away tomorrow. That's tough to overcome. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. So this is a great, it's really, it's an hour and 15 minutes of just good, fun conversation. We've had, I'd love to get Andy on. Andy Doyle is a comedian, and he had Bridget Fetzi on. It's Culture Wars podcast. It's the first one he's done. It's his first podcast. Now, Bridget, we've had on numerous occasions. She's great. Andy Doyle is a comic, but his rise to crazy fun fame, if you will, has come in the Twitter world with Tatiana McGrath, his crazy woke alter ego. And it was very interesting. They talked for about an hour and 15 hour and 20 minutes talking about the lunacy of this woke world that we live in. And look, wokeness is, especially over the last 6 months, we're inside, we're getting the George Floyd and exploded from there, back to doing this, the wokeness of the world now is right in front of us.
Then you had the lockdowns. Then we had this horrific killing of George Floyd that then again, everyone was online, locked up. Everybody saw this. Everyone was rightfully outraged. And now you also have a pent up population and everybody with that explosion of protests. Then so many things went mainstream. That woke culture that people kept saying, like, did COVID kill the culture wars? I'm like, no. The culture wars are so much stronger in America than COVID.
Yeah, and that's the absolute truth. So much stronger than before. So much stronger. And this is interesting.
The first wave I would blame the administration for. The second wave I would blame local governments, particularly Democratic, for allowing all of these thousands of people into the streets. Take responsibility for the consequences of that. Go protest. But now to sit back and say, oh no, see, there was this study that a bunch of liberal activist scientists did that said none of the protests cause any of these upticks and outbreaks that miraculously is happening 2 weeks after we saw images of thousands and thousands of people in the streets.
Yeah, that's what I think is hilarious. So Trump holds a rally. The entire state is definitely going to catch the coronavirus. There's 6,800 people. Well, it was indoors. Okay, whatever. Not saying it didn't spread. Absolutely. It's nothing wrong. Look, I wouldn't have done it. I told Trump, no, bad, don't do it. I think a lot of people said this is, and he's since cut it down, but then he came out here to Arizona, and he's in a church, and there are 3,000 people in a church that hold about 3,000 people with no social distancing, and nobody was wearing a mask. But you can't tell me that there's 1 million plus people over the space of 2-3 weeks on the street, and that this thing doesn't spread. You can't tell me that. So, that's why I said the virus has got woke. Why? Because it only attacks Trump supporters. It doesn't. Nobody else gets it. Just Trump supporters.
This is the level of gaslighting. The same people who are citing the protests that people went out in the streets for and the parades that everybody joined during the flu pandemic as evidence for why we needed to cancel everything and shut down, cancel all the everything, are now saying that their protests didn't spread anything. I'm like, you guys are, but it does make you feel like you're going crazy.
Yeah. Bridget Fetzi there. Play some more for them in a little bit. Andy Doyle. And by the way, if you want to follow, there's 2 people you should absolutely follow. Rex Chapman has the best Twitter and the funniest Twitter. And Tatiana McGrath is absolutely hilarious. And that's Andy Doyle. It's his alter ego. The stuff that he puts up there. And what he does is he does it to piss people off, to have a laugh. And at the same time, he has tons of people that are woke that follow because they think it's hilarious, because they think, oh, what Tatiana's not real. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. I do find it hilarious, though, that it's like, well, it says here that according to this think tank, that it didn't spread at all. So I'm like, there's 50,000 people out there, 100,000 people out there, and they're jammed next to each other, and it doesn't spread at all. No. But if you go to the beach outside, they don't want you to. They shut the beach down in certain areas. Well, it's different because people are having fun. I'm like, oh, so it's woke. It's the woke virus. Super woke. You know what's not woke? Me. I wasn't woke up at all. Why? Because I'm a Purple mattress. Technology, baby. It's amazing. Purple has the Purple Grid. What is it? It's patented comfort technology, instantly adapts to your body and its natural shape and sleep style. Back sleepers, sleep on your side. It's for everybody. That's what Purple always says, no matter how you sleep. So what do they have in this Purple Grid? 28 open air channels. They're naturally temperature neutral gel. So you're never going to sleep too hot or too cold. And I love that. Soft where you want it, firm where you need it, comfortable all over, cool all over. It does it all. It's never going to sink or lose shape. You can use it year after year. Think about it. It's like 30, 40 cents. I don't know how long you keep a mattress. Average person probably keeps a mattress 10 years. You're going to be paying pennies a day to get the best mattress out there that is just incredible. They're going to give you 100 nights to try it. 100-night trial. It's risk-free, free shipping, free returns. You're going to experience a sleep evolution with Purple. Go to purple.com. Use Benson. Purple.com/Benson. It's the promo code is Benson. Purple.com/Benson. You're going to save $150 off for a limited time any Purple mattress over the $1,500. And it is incredible. Like I said, pennies a day to get the best sleep of your life. Purple.com/Benson. Promo code Benson for $150 off. Purple.com/Benson. Terms apply. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
Those protests continued here in Portland again last night. That marks 53 straight nights of protests, and the violence has been escalating. The mayor here says that's because of the presence of federal law enforcement agencies sent in by the President of the United States. He says they operate without any official markings as they violate the civil rights of protesters.
That is Kanye Whitworth right there. And so we're at the 53 nights, and the violence is not escalating because they're there. The violence was already there. They've only been there a few days. It had been going on for well over a month and a half before they showed up. Now, I don't think the Fed should be there. I think this is a local thing, and I think at some point in time, the governor, she won't, but she should, look at calling in the National Guard to quell this. She's not going to. She's going to allow this thing to run wild, and if you're not seeing what's going on there are two things happening in Portland. One, you have got the feds driving around in unmarked vehicles, snatching people up that they believe have caused hell and havoc and chaos. And two, you've had 50-plus days of riots and violence and serious issues. And it's getting worse on a daily basis. So we'll see what happens. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. This is an awful story because people are just awful in general.
New video of a deadly stunt that played out live on Facebook. A homeless man, Larry Connor, was offered $6 to do a backflip. He landed on his neck and later died. Police say Keontae Jones convinced the man to do the stunt and recorded it all on video. On that video, you can hear Jones laughing while Connor is on the ground.
He wouldn't did it on grass.
Yeah, thought it was funny, right? Snapped his neck, had mental issues. $6 to do this. Pushed him into it. People are laughing. You could also hear him saying, hey, don't call any kind of emergency or help.
I told him backflip for $6. He went and hit the back. He said, I got to do it on grass. He wouldn't did it on grass.
Police also say Jones told people not to call for help. Jones is out on bail but is facing a felony charge.
Absolutely he should. What a scumbag. And because we've given people the opportunity to be writers and directors and producers and stars of their idiocy and their meanness, this is what you get. This is what you get. And it is awful. And his family said his mom died. Larry's mom died last year. He'd already had mental problems and some drug issues. And it started to get much and much worse. And he was just trying to come home. He was in a hospital or something. What a just a vile human being. Just a vile human being. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Check out Chad Benson Show TV on YouTube. Have a new video up later on today. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Some people were surprised when you agreed to this interview, to sit down with me.
What are you going to ask?
Especially because of some of the mean tweets that you've said about me. Mike Wallace wannabe, nasty and obnoxious. But here's the question. One of your beefs seems to be that I put Democrats. Don't you understand it's my job to put Democrats on as well as Republicans and to ask them probing questions just like I ask Republicans?
I'm not a big fan of Fox. I'll be honest with you. They've changed a lot since Roger Ailes.
Trump, Wallace sat down. They battled over a lot of stuff. It was kind of fun to watch. Look, say what you want about Fox. I don't really remember the left coming hard at all. And Wallace is different. Wallace is a journalist. He is. He's a journalist. He is not like Hannity's not a journalist. I'm not a journalist. I work in the media, but I'm not a journalist. And so they're different. So you watch certain things on Fox and you think, well, they're not journalists. Most of them are talking heads. There's some there that are journalists and they do their thing. But by and large, it's mostly talking heads. Fox, MSNBC, CNN, they've all realized that what sells in this day and age is panic and lunacy and craziness. And so what do? They go after each other and do a bunch of crazy things where they can throw out their version of the truth as loud as possible and in many cases do all they can to try to scare you. And why is that? Because of algorithms. What do you mean algorithms? Social media realized a long time ago what works. And a lot of that based on what they listened to in radio and read in newspapers, in the sense that things that went before viral usually were things that were scary, that were angry, that evoked a certain emotion. That's why they used to say, if it bleeds, it leads. If you look at what happens in this day and age that we're in, and you look at what goes on, it's about promoting chaos and craziness. It's clip culture. I want to give all sides. That's why I like Wallace, because he does fight back. He does say things that you would think he's on Fox, he should only be one way. And I laugh and I say, he's not, though. He's not. I think he tries as hard to be as much a journalist. And it's tough out there. Journalism isn't what it used to be. Because journalism now is, you can be your own journalist in your own way and control more of your own life, but that comes with a price. And what is that price? You got to get clicks, you got to get likes, you got to get shares, you got to get things read, you've got to get views. Otherwise, you don't work and you don't feed your family. So what you do is you find your niche. And right now the niche is terror, terror, terror. Everything's going to hell in a handbasket. World's coming to an end. And you find your villain. Villain for the left is easy because it's Trump. And there's reasons to be mad at Trump. Talk about it all the time. But I love what Wallace does here. He gets in his face.
I think we have one of the lowest mortality rates in the world. We're going to take a look.
We had 900 deaths on a single day.
We will take a look.
This week.
Ready?
You can check it out.
Could you please get me the mortality rate?
Yeah.
Kaylee's right here. I heard we had one of the lowest, maybe the lowest mortality rate anywhere in the world. You have the numbers, please? Because I heard we had the best mortality rate. I hope you show the scenario because it shows what fake news is all about. Okay,
I don't think I'm fake news.
So it's funny, the battle that goes on over mortality rates. We're going to, and it doesn't matter. See, here's the thing with Trump. It doesn't matter what you show him, right? It doesn't matter. Well, it says here, well, they're lying. Everybody's lying. First of all, we're never going to know the real mortality rate. So let's just put that away. I don't know what the mortality rate is. Right now, we're at what? Based on the numbers that we have. About 5%, just under, give or take. Now, if it's 10 times what the CDC says it is, then we're really low. So the CDC says it could be up as high as 30 million people infected. Well, 30 million people infected and 140,000 deaths, the mortality rate is extremely low. But this is the other thing. Not only is the news world giving you, and that's part of it, it's giving you what you want to hear. Part of it's us, the way we consume it. I want to know all of it. Give me the truth, not the truth. And I don't want a story with the truth. See, if I have to go and I want to fact check something, and you go to a fact checker, and they tell you something with an opinion based on whether or not something's true, and then you start laughing because they're trying to fit in the story that they want you to hear. That's why it's hard. That's why you have to do research. And research is a pain in the butt. Man, I comb, I look all over. It is a huge pain in the butt to go through a ton of different things to find. And a lot of times what you get is maybe 86 or 90% at best of an entire story and data that you need. How do I grade Trump on this? That's how I grade him. How do I grade most leaders in this country based on this? So it's not just Trump. It's not. Right and left have a part to play in this because why? We're human beings. We're human beings. It is amazing, though, just to watch people battle over the dumbest things. Like, I don't know. Let's see here. Let's talk about testing.
Trump, he tries to play it down. He tries to make it not seem as serious as it is.
No, this is very serious.
75,000 cases a day.
Show me the death chart.
I don't have the death chart.
The death chart is much more important.
I can tell you, the death chart is 1,000 cases a day.
Excuse me. It's all too much. It shouldn't be one case. It came from China. They should have never let it escape. They should have never let it out. But it is what it is. Take a look at Europe. Take a look at the numbers in Europe.
6,000 in the whole European Union.
They don't test. They don't test like we test.
Is it possible that they don't have the virus as badly as we do?
It's possible that they don't test. That's what's possible.
That's also possible. How much do they test compared to us? Yeah. But here's the thing, though. If you listen there, you can figure out, okay, are their rates lower than ours? We had 500,000 new cases last week. Are their rates lower than ours? Yeah. Now, at the height of it, were their rates bigger than ours? Yeah. So they've already gone through it. Yeah. Okay. So how many people are they testing a day? I don't know. That I don't know. I don't even know how many we're testing a day, to be honest with you. I don't think anybody does. Some states, you're like, okay, well, you make here in Arizona, I think we're at the point where for every 10 we test, 3 are positive. So yesterday we tested, and this is the other thing. What day is it? Like, I test you on a Tuesday, you get it back on a Wednesday. I test this person on a Tuesday, he gets it back 3 weeks from now. The mortality rate is big. And beds in ICUs, those are the numbers that you can look at and go, okay, those things I can wrap my head around. A lot of this other stuff is just baloney. But we've made something political. And it's easy to do in this day and age because, remember, the media likes the fact that we fight with each other and we're divided. I don't want to fight with each other. I want the same thing you do. I want a world where we're out there enjoying our lives. We have opportunities. We work our butts off. That we have the best in equity that we can have. Because equity's great. It is. It's a beautiful thing. And we need to get better at it. But you listen to the media. We're all going to die from this. It's not going to happen. The world's, especially America, is never been in a situation like this, and it's the worst time in human history. That's an absolute lie. Everybody is a racist who's white. Once again, wrong. It's just, you just start checking stuff off. Why? Because it's just entertaining to watch people fight. It's entertaining to watch the discord in this country. It's entertaining to watch us go at each other because a train wreck we're going to watch. If I told you today 2 trains are going to crash into each other, it's going to be live on TV, people are going to, I shouldn't watch that, but I probably should. I probably should. Because that's what we do. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Just don't get caught in it. That's what I say. Just don't get caught in it. I try not to. I just, I get people every day. It's like they attack you on the internet. It's like, really? Just like, why would you, like, what's the, I have no, people always ask me all the time, just don't you hate Trump or love Trump? And I'm like, I don't feel any way about any politician. any way about any politician whatsoever. Don't care about any of them. Don't love them. Don't hate them. Don't give two seconds about the emotion side. Are you doing the job that you're supposed to do? Because you're there to do a job. Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Now, if you start infringing on my rights, if you start trying to destroy the country, I'll speak out against it. If you're doing something good, I'll give you an attaboy or an attagirl. Outside of that, I got other things going on. Stop making it personal. 323-538-2423. Hello, Fresh. Hello, Fresh. I made a little Hello Fresh over the weekend. You can do the same thing. Delivered right to your door. Mouth-watering recipes. Here's the beauty of HelloFresh. Contact-free in a time and age when we don't want to be in contact with a lot of people. So we try to slow the spread of this nasty coronavirus. This is great. You get to choose from 22 chef-curated recipes. You got low-calorie, you got vegetarian, family-friendly options. It's the one I went with. I'm like, do you guys make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? But they make stuff that's amazing. I had pulled pork the other night. Oh, goodness me. And I cooked it. I felt like, whoa, look at me. It is awesome. They got taste tours of gourmet feasts, craft burgers, surf and turf, meals on the table in those little 20 minutes. They give you the recipe and all of the ingredients. It's a puzzle. You put it together and away you go. Here's the other thing you're going to be saving. So you don't have to plan. You have to worry about any of these things. You can save 40% versus shopping at your local store. They'll let you custom fit the way you want it. You can have your delivery days change. You can get extra meals. You can skip a week. It's flexible to fit your lifestyle. Right now, you can get started with America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com. Use the promo code Benson. It's $80 off, including free shipping on your first box. That's promo code Benson at HelloFresh.com. $80 off, including free shipping on your first box. HelloFresh.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Boys, give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers.
One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent, a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
The protesters include fast food workers, janitors, and healthcare workers. Their goals? To declare that Black Lives Matter, urge lawmakers and elected officials to rewrite rules so black communities can thrive, call on corporations to dismantle racism in the workplace, and to see to it that every worker has a chance to form a union. Most demonstrations will occur around noon local time. There will be an 8-minute and 46-second pause in remembrance of George Floyd.
So today you could expect across the country protest. I don't know if it's a full walkout all day or just for a portion of time. I'm not quite sure. In honor of Black Lives Matter and mostly fast food restaurants, a few other places. I mean, a lot of places are shut down, so it's kind of hard to have a big protest of everybody walking out when, like, the building I'm in now. So next door, this shows you what it's how it was once a zoo here. How there's nobody here. Next door, we have a little cafe. Great food. So about a week ago, the lady who owns it, she was really upset. She was like telling us she's going to have to shut down. And she did. She shut down. And I said, how bad's business? She goes, your building, you guys are it. That's all that's left. And by the way, we're a skeleton crew inside of this studio. She goes, the building next to us, she goes about 75% to 80% gone. So you went from, I'd say, a couple thousand people that work here a day, not counting the people that are coming in and out, so maybe 3,000 a day coming in and out, to, at best, maybe 150 between the two buildings. So it's crazy. So it's hard to have a walkout when there's not a lot of people to walk out. It'll be interesting to see, and I've said this over time when it comes to a situation like with George Floyd and how it has grown. Is this a movement or a moment? And what's the real side of what you're going to do? Because I'm all about putting money as well as opportunities and other things into underserved communities, minority communities, to see them grow. I have zero problems with that. I think we should all get behind that. Absolutely. Because when everybody wins, everybody wins. And not everybody's going to win. Even if you give them every opportunity in life, they're not always going to win. But I'm good with that. But is this a movement or a moment? And I think that is yet to be answered. And I think it's being hijacked in many other ways by many other groups who want to use the movement and turn it into something that they feel will benefit them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You've got us getting closer potentially to a vaccine, but at the end of the day,
the truth is that we don't know when we'll have a final result on how well the vaccine works. It's likely to be months rather than weeks. So we said before we were aiming for September, October time. I still think that's a realistic aspiration.
That's Dr. Adrian Hill talking about Oxford. So we're looking at September, October, and there's some side effects, but they're very mild. That's a good thing. Now, what does it look like? Moderna and Oxford are racing right now to see who can come out with something that is effective when it comes to fighting the coronavirus. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I'll just wait for the cops to get here.
Why don't you wait for him outside?
Ron.
Yeah. Why don't you wait
I'm not. I'm going to wait right here where I almost got hit by a cart from a lady.
Almost got hit by a cart.
I did. She rammed her cart into me, and I have a witness. Yes, I do. I have it on video, dude.
There's a witness right here.
I have it on video. Nope, not leaving. I'm not going to let you harass me like this. Stop. So it's not a law. It's not a law. Not a law.
The anti-maskers. There's rallies all over the place. You're taking away my freedom. Actually, no, it's their store. Like I say, Costco wants you to wear a top hat in. Hey, the only way you can get in is if you wear a top hat. That's what we're doing now. Hell, on Fridays, top hat and tails. Because we're bringing out the big stuff as far as samples go. If that's what they want to do, they can do it. It's not a law. No, it's not a law. Put a mask on and stop being an asshat.
It's like you're naked in my business. Please leave. You are naked in my business. No shoes, no shirt, no mask, no service.
You're in my face.
You're breathing on me.
Not
leave
the law.
Now.
Not the law. A mandate and order is not state law.
Leave. Service, I can do it because I'm doing it.
I'm waiting for the cops. I'm waiting for the cops.
And I'm going to press charges when they get here, just so you know. And I will love it.
And the other side's, it's like you're naked in my business. Slow down. Both of you guys. It's not a lot we can do. It is what it is. So I'll take a deep breath. Ma'am, you need to leave. That's it. It's not a law. Stand outside and do your not a law thing. This is a private business. Private business says this, right? You want to come in naked? Well, that's a law. What if they say it's okay if you come in naked in our store? You can get undressed and walk around naked. Well, it's just so weird, right? They don't want you to wear shoes. It's not a law you have to wear shoes. It's their store. No shoes, no shirt, no dice. Remember that? We've made this a woke virus. We shouldn't have to make this thing woke, but we have. Because woke culture is right in front of us. And it's ridiculous. And it's not going anywhere. And it's only going to get worse. It is. Case in point.
An online petition calling for Trader Joe's to remove its, quote, racist branding and packaging from its stores has gathered more than 1,500 signatures. The Change.org petition, created 2 weeks ago, requests the grocery store chain to follow other food companies' moves to adjust their branding and packaging to avoid racial stereotypes. The petition specifically calls out international food items that are named Trader Ming's, Trader Jose, Trader Giotto's, Arabian Joe, and Trader Joe-san.
So they're doing their best to make sure that they get rid of that as fast as possible. When are they going to make Trader Joe's trade their name? Because back in the day, what happened? Those guys that came from far away were there to trade, right? Silk Road and all of that stuff. And they lived back in the day, so automatically it makes them racist. This is why I don't shop at Trader Joe's. This right here. I don't shop at Trader Joe's because of that. I can't even remember the last time I was in a Trader Joe's. Hey, do you want a 6-pack of soda? It's totally natural, made with stevia. The stevia root. It's $12 for a 6-pack. Is there $11 in the 6-pack that I get back? Nope. Oh, my Lord. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. So, we move on to the crazy cancel culture wars. We've been playing the bits of this throughout the day. Andrew Doyle, who is online, and especially on Twitter, he has Tatiana McGrath, which is his alter ego. He's a British comedian. And Tatiana is hilarious, is the best way to describe Tatiana. And I'm telling you, I mean, we touched a bit last week on Tatiana McGrath and some of the lunacy that is out there with Tatiana and posting the 20 craziest things that we've seen in the last several months when it comes to woke cultures. So Andrew, who's a comedian, has now a podcast and brought on Bridget Fetzi, who we've had on the show numerous times. And it's funny because they were talking about the lunacy of what's going on, the lunacy of cancel culture, and how we've been talking about it here for years. We've been saying, look, the war that we're having in this country, it's not a civil war that you think of. It's a culture war. You got to ask yourself, do you want a world of so woke that you're like, just don't ever wake me up? I don't at all. And we've lost our sense of humor, which is the first downfall in any country, when it loses its sense of humor.
You know, that thing about the sort of white liberals sort of defending or speaking on behalf of black people, how can they not see, you know, how actually offensive that is, you know?
It's the same thing with comedy. Yeah. I would be offended if I was in some group that was so pathetic and pitiful and protected that nobody could make fun of me. That would be more offensive to me. Where I come from, true equality is being able to make fun of everyone and everything. And if you want to be part of, everyone should be getting roasted. No one is above or below getting roasted.
I think that's awesome. And that's the way I feel. And there's a difference between being an absolute awful person and a bigot and full of hate and generally being funny. I like the fact that we can roast each other. I like the fact that we can make fun of each other. I like the fact that we can poke fun at each other's stereotypes and wackiness, but we can't, and that's sad. And we live in this world now where everything is an offense. And by the way, speech and words are now violent. That's never good.
Seems offensive to me that some people are like, oh, you can't touch, they're untouchable. You can't make any joke about them.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. I hate this idea of people deciding that, you know, an act can't talk about gay men because it might upset the gay men in the audience. Like, well, I'll make my own mind up if I'm upset by that.
It takes away agency from people.
It's mad.
And also it removes the ability for people to have to deal with their own emotions. So if you are upset by that and offended, then you have to go deal with that or say something or whatever. But we can't create a world where no one's ever offended.
But that's what they want. No one's ever offended. And they're always right. No matter how wrong they are, they're always right. That's the thing that drives me crazy. Is this weird world of 2 + 2 is whatever I say it is because I deserve to have it be true. And if this is not true, my feelings say it's true. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
This is the way the woke culture works. It's not just to do with trans issues. It's to do with sexuality, race, gender, all the rest of it. It's this thing of asking people to accept what is not true. It's it's a new kind of reality that they want to impose, one that is not based on empirical data or science.
No. We've been saying it since day one. My show is built on facts, not feelings. I try to get as much of the facts as I possibly can. Sometimes you're not going to get all the facts. Like the coronavirus. You're never going to know all the facts about the coronavirus. You never know what the real numbers are. I mean, for years, we were under the impression that the Spanish flu killed 30 to 50 million people, but new data is showing that chances are it probably killed closer to 12 million people. You're never going to know all of the numbers, all of the facts. But I just love the fact that they're spot on. And we've talked about it. Other people have talked about it. This wacky world of nobody gets offended. And whatever I believe to be true when it comes to an issue, when it comes to something, makes it so. And you have to accept that or else they'll come for you. I mean, it's nuts. J.K. Rowling, perfect example. Perfect example. They come after J.K. Rowling. So here's a woman who came from nothing, built up this amazing library of amazing books, movies, all of this stuff. And she's very much a feminist and has taken some serious shots at the way that woke culture is handling women who stand up for women.
The one that's rolling though is the J.K. Rowling. I mean, that is going on and on. Do you have any thoughts on that?
She has taken it upon herself to do that when in fact she didn't really need to at all. And I think because she is so powerful, and interestingly enough, so many of the people who seem to hate her the most were like the Harry Potter fans. So it's like they're maybe a little bit of, being disappointed by your hero if she's not living up to the woke standards.
And she's not. She defended a woman who got fired for talking about women, trans women, things, and then breaking out science and bringing in with that science facts and data. And then for that, people came after her and they're like, we're going to burn your books. We don't like you. It is so stupid, because those are some of the things that you have to do now. Right? You can't look at science and say, well, gender, you believe you're a man or you're a woman. I have no problem with that. Whatever it is, whatever you want to be called, whatever you believe. If you come to me today and say, I'm Batman, you can be Batman. Right? I got zero problem with that. But then when you get to the science of it all, right, and to a lot of the other stuff, and you want to have a discussion about that, that's where we have serious issues, and that's where woke culture comes and attacks, and that's you have to believe it and accept it or else.
One of the purity tests seems to be trans women are women, and I'm like, no, I'm not saying that.
They would say to you, well, what is your definition of a woman then? Why do you get to decide what a woman is?
Because it's been decided by biology long before.
That you're a heretic now.
I know. So illogical, and I think that's why my brain resists it. How so human, just on an animal level, I react to this. You are trying to force me to believe something that is not fundamentally true on a cellular level, and I cannot get on board.
Cellular level. That's the biology of it. She said one of the things in the podcast, she said, and she's done this on our show, we talked about her. She goes, I want to do a documentary where I just go around the country asking people, can men have periods? Some men can't. No, they can't. You're going to get canceled. Whatever. Get over yourselves. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You have a chance. Check it out. Andy Doyle is his name. And if you have a chance, 2 things you need to look up Twitter-wise. Tatiana McGrath and Rex. You will not be disappointed in Rex Chapman. You will not. You will love it. He is hilarious. He puts up the funniest things. Former NBA basketball player, and his stuff is great. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
You know, what you saw over the weekend was, some of our most sought after and public eye players just get behind their union. And that union's been asking answers for weeks. And quite honestly, the NFL has had months to get a plan ready, and it's still not suitable to our liking.
Chase Daniel right there, NFL. You had some players over the weekend say, you know what, there's a good chance this isn't going to happen. It's going to happen, I think. I think it's going to happen. Is it a chance right now for a lot of industries, including sports, to stand up and maybe, just maybe, ask for a little more, try to do a few things, talk about, like, baseball's getting close. I mean, I think we're a few days away. They're playing games right now. In baseball, the NFL, well, there's a sense of, we'll see.
Source told me this weekend that the uncertainty of COVID-19 sort of has both sides, particularly the league, a bit paralyzed. And the players know they have some leverage here because they feel like they're putting everything at risk. So they're going to be more and more outspoken. You saw it in baseball a few weeks back where the players brought an all-out blitz on social media. So this is from that playbook.
Yeah. That's from this play. You know, that's what they're doing now. What does that mean? Means very little at this point in time. Rookies are supposed to report here in the next couple days. NFL camps are going to get underway. How are they going to handle things? That is going to be interesting. What do some of the players want?
You know, if we're going to put our body and our health at risk, and quite honestly, some of our families at risk, and not only do we want testing every day, but guys also have to realize that there's a big responsibility that you can't be going out to eat every single night. You can't be leaving your house. Like, if you want a full season in, you got to do the right thing. You got to be responsible. You got to stay at home when you're not at the facility if you want to be able to get 16 weeks in.
Yeah. And what's the NFL going to do as it gets closer? Are they going to really expand? Like, soccer in Europe has expanded some of the rules. More substitutes. Normally you get 3 substitutes. That's it. They've allowed 5 substitutes. They're allowing a few other different things. There's breaks in the middle of the games right now. Hydration breaks, which normally you don't get. There's several things that are going on. And we'll see what the NFL does. Major League Baseball, they're going to have expanded rosters. So you'll have what they call a tax. You'll have a full team and another full team because there's no minor league baseball. So you have an entire team and another team, just in case people test positive. And I don't know how they're going to work. Some I hear they're going to keep each parts of the team apart from one another. So just in case that, you know, it's crazy. But we're trying the best that we can. Then if you're the Blue Jays, you got nowhere to play because Canada's like, you can't come here. So where next?
I'll tell you this, I would not want to go to Dunedin, Florida. It's about 105 down there with about 1,000% humidity. It's going to take a lot out of those guys, to be honest with you. And that's an A-ball park. Granted, it is their spring training home, but that place only holds maybe 5,000 or 6,000 people. I mean, we're talking big league baseball here. I think the AAA facility, if they can do something to I'm hearing stuff about the lights and dugouts and, clubhouses and whatnot. Obviously, if they can do something to upgrade the facilities in a very short period of time, getting back to this being a, curious timing from the government in Toronto kind of shutting the Rogers Center down, then I would err on the side of going to Buffalo as opposed to Dunedin.
Yeah. So Buffalo, maybe where the Blue Jays play. Because Canada's like, yeah, we don't want you guys to play here. Oh, my goodness. It's a weird world, weird time. In saying that, we should smile, be kind to each other. It's hard, I know, at times. Sometimes it's hard because, well, people are stupid. Other times it's just a stressful time. But let's remember, we're all in this together, so we can try a little bit harder, be kinder. We don't know what the situation the person you're dealing with is going through at that moment in time. Smile, have a good day. Be kind to one another. We'll do it again tomorrow. Follow along at Chad Benson Show. Chad Benson Show TV on the YouTube. Go there, subscribe, like. Got another video coming out later today. As always, Night Night Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.